Hey Tap Fam, Mike here. Do you want to fill your fridge with unique craft beers, ciders, or seltzers that you can't find locally? Then Tavour is your answer. I partner with them to bring you this exclusive offer for my Taproom listeners. When you use the promo code TAPROOM25, you get a $10 credit towards your next purchase when you spend $25 in the app or online. Tavour has it all, from IPAs to stouts, sours, ciders, and so much more. So make sure you use the promo code TAPROOM25 to get a $10 credit towards your next purchase. And now, on to the episode. All right, and we're back. This is episode 110 of the Taproom Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike. This was a fun one. It's been a really fun weekend. Before we jump into all that, though, this was a fun episode. I got to record remotely with Jacob Longoria. He's one of the brewers at Peticolas Brewing in Dallas, Texas. So this would be the end of the Dallas Brewery Tour episodes, but man, what a really good dude. Had such a fun conversation. There was some audio issues on my part, but I mean, for the most part, everything came out really good. Wanted to mention, how him and I talked about, what the craft beer scene obviously is like, kind of like I did with Jacob over at On Rotation. Funny, both the people I talked to were named Jacob. That was pretty cool. But just, talking about the craft beer scene out there and him being honestly just a really good dude. And I'm looking forward to, he's actually might be setting something up for me with a 5x5 Brewing, because I'm going to be back in Dallas. And I'm not in Dallas, so I'm going to be back in Texas next week. I will actually be in McAllen, Texas, as of Sunday, and then I come back on Friday the 4th. So I'm gonna try to get a recording in while I'm out there, and just try to have a good time, even though I'm gonna be working. So yeah, but like I said, it's been a fun weekend. Yesterday, I went to go record at Bonaventure Brewing at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel, which was, like, honestly, what an insanely looking place. It's really, like, I don't know, like futuristic, majestic. I don't know what the right word is, but it was really, really cool. And where the brewery is, it's on like a rooftop. And it's on the 4th floor, and you're looking up, and it's skyscrapers, and there's a pool area, and there's a grassy area, and they have even an outdoor, brewing, outdoor little tap room, I guess. I don't know beer garden. There you go. Couldn't think of the word. But honestly, got to talk to Chris. I got to hang out with Art for a little bit. Really good. Obviously love Art, man. And Chris, just thank you so much for, allowing me to come down, have some of your beers, and hear your story. If you guys are in the area, or in LA and Orange County, and you want to just, go try the beers. And then also, if you ever just want to go, take someone on a date night or something like that, I feel like it would be a really cool spot to go to. And they said the food's amazing. I didn't get to try because it didn't open until about 4. But yeah, I've heard nothing but great things. Art praised the food as well. So, and I don't want to spoil anything because it'll be out in a few weeks. So, yeah. What else? I had my goddaughter's birthday yesterday. So shout out to my goddaughter, Gotti. Happy birthday, sweetheart. What else we got? Baseball's coming. Dodgers are 2-0, I think. Well, the 2025 World Series champion Dodgers are 2-0. Yeah. I don't know. I think my Braves will be okay. I think they're going to be good. Every year I get my hopes up, and then the injury bug just hits at the end, and it's like, man, but it is what it is. That's how life is. Life will throw curveballs at you. So no pun intended. NHL playoffs are coming. That I mentioned it last week, but I think the Avs have 12 games left, and I'm pretty stoked. I'm excited, and actually in just a little bit, I'm going to go record at Innovation Brewworks in Pomona. I'm going to go record with one of their brewers, Sandra. I'm looking forward to that. I'm loading up on episodes because I got a lot coming up, so doing the recording there. today, which I'm, like I said, looking forward to that. And then also going to be recording with Zeke and Lulu on Tuesday, and then I'm gonna be recording an international one with Tim Weaver. He does branding for breweries out in the UK. So we're gonna do a remote one on Wednesday, and then I should be recording one on Sunday with 5x5 when I'm in Texas. And so I'm right now. By the time I'm done recording all those, I'm gonna have about 6 or 7 episodes in the bank, and I don't think I've ever had that many at one point. So yeah, I got to load up. Mania's coming. I'm gonna take, obviously not a break from the show, but like I'm not gonna record for a few weeks because I'm gonna go visit some family and do a bunch of stuff and take a couple weekends to just hang out. So yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all. I'm gonna shut up now. We'll talk about the upcoming episodes at the end on the outro. Honestly, I hope you guys enjoy the episode with Jacob Longoria of Peticolas. Like I said, really great guy. Fun person to talk to. Told like one of my favorite stories, or one of my favorite stories on the show. It's about Jim Cook from Sam Adams. So make sure you listen to that. So, yeah, hope everybody has a good Sunday. Stay tuned for the outro.
All right, guys, we're back in the tap room, and I'm your host Mike, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Jacob Longoria of Peticolas Brewing in Dallas, Texas. How's it going today, man?
Doing great. How you guys been?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I stopped by your brewery when I was out there, and I know I had to cancel because I had some work stuff come up. But man, you got some great beers out there in Texas.
I can only agree. Yeah, and they keep on getting better.
Oh yeah. So Peticolas is in Dallas. It's right there, really close to the airport, and like a downtown area, right?
Yeah, kind of right off downtown, kind of the west of downtown.
Okay. So before we jump into everything, because I was like, the first thing I always love to ask is, tell me about your craft beer journey. But I saw you're drinking a beer. What are you having?
Golden Opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, our Kolsch. I actually have a kegerator outside. I'm actually in the what I call the mother-in-law suite off my house, and there's a kegerator that I always have stocked just in case someone comes over and wants a beer. It's amazing. People want to like pour their own beer. It's like one of their like almost fantasies of sorts. So it's always available to anyone who comes by my house.
There it is. That's cool. That's awesome. So tell us about your craft beer journey. How did it all get started for you, man?
Like a lot of brewers, it all started home brewing. Home brewing through and through. My gosh, I bottled yesterday. I continuously home brew at home if I have the time.
Okay.
Because I'm brewing on the professional level. But became just a home brewer, gosh, 10+ years ago. Gosh, I've been married almost 10, so gosh, 12, 13 years ago. Mr. Beer Kit, which I always stress anyone who's wants to if they're even considering home brewing, just don't spend thousands of dollars, just buy the Mr. Beer Kit and it works.
Okay.
And then kind of just work your way up. So did that for years before I was in the industry, as they say. I was an insurance adjuster. So I just sat at a desk for, gosh, 6-7 years, dealing with car accidents and injuries and deaths and payouts. And it was not very glamorous, but it's also a profession that sadly never going away. So it's a very stable job. But in my spare time, usually, especially in the last couple years, I've been at Peticolas for almost 4, but the last few years as an adjuster, maybe once every other month, I would just take a day off and go volunteer at a local brewery in the DFW area. And just started getting to meet a lot of the brewers and staff and stuff like that. And the last one that I was at was Peticolas.
Okay.
And one of our old brewers just said, are you looking for a job? I said, I don't really care for my job.
Yeah.
But I am very curious on getting into the industry. And that's how it started. And we'll never look back. Not going back to insurance anytime soon.
Okay, there you go. It's funny because I actually work in insurance. I mean, that's why I was out there. So, but I was an adjuster for a couple of years. So I did that. I dealt with casualty claims and all that sort of stuff. It's one of those things.
It's a great profession. Just again,
Oh no, I get it. But sometimes even for this, it took a long. I've been in insurance. I'm 38 now, but I've been in insurance for 19 years. I started when I was 19, and I would, kind of it's a good paying job, right? So you have that. You don't really know, should I try to find something maybe within the industry that I like? And then eventually I found, a job that I do enjoy doing. I'm a trainer now. So I love being able to coach people and stuff like that. But then I was able to find the podcast, and that kind of supplements, the happiness there.
Yeah. Supplements the happiness. That's a good beer name right there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Might have to, feel free to use it at Peticolas. So there you go. I'm always kind of curious. I mean, especially like, different, breweries in different states. And like, is there like a specific, like, because I talked to actually Jacob from over at On Rotation, really nice guy, great brewery. Yeah. And I was asking him, like, what's the craft beers like? And then I'll ask you the same question. Like, what's the craft beer scene like out there for you? Like, what do you like? Have you noticed like trends or anything like that?
Trends, yes. And they come, hazies were a trend, sours were a trend, black IPAs, black lagers were a trend. I'm trying to think of what the current the current trend right now is hop water.
Yeah.
Or non-alcoholic beers or low ABV beers are really popular. Shout out to my brother David. He keeps on the trends. And right now it's low ABV to no ABV beer. Just it's kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it's for the athletes, but it's for the people that just want several beers, but just don't want the buzz.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a little bit different from like a Peticolas beer, where we have higher ABV beers and one or two will do the trick. So, but yeah, trends come and go. Excuse me. Especially like I think like the sour trend. I mean, it was huge. We don't do sours. Some breweries do. Difficult, and they're trendy, and it's to a certain type of beer drink. So it's it's hard to make it palatable for everybody.
Yeah.
And of course the hazies came in. The hazies kind of stuck around. That became like a staple of a lot of breweries. It was to make kind of their own hazy. I wish I knew the name of ours, but we do have a hazy that we kind of keep around and people ask for.
Okay. Yeah, for hazies, I feel like it's like an approachable beer for a lot of like, especially like newer drinkers. They can kind of go into the brewery, try that, and that kind of maybe they're like their gateway drug into craft beer.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, like you have your brewery. What were some of the other breweries that you frequent, or like some other ones that you would go to when you were volunteering?
Let's see, Hop and Sting in Grapevine, Texas. Let's see, Hop and Sting, Texel Project, which is right down the street from Peticolas.
Okay.
Hop and Sting in Grapevine. RAR, that's in Fort Worth. Let's see, who else did I help out? Some of them don't exist anymore, which is so funny.
Oh, I know, that's sad.
Those are the big ones I kind of frequented the most. And Peticolas, actually, I volunteered probably the most when we started canning. They were canning all the time, so that was kind of an easy. That one and Hop and Sting were the ones that I frequented the most. Just kind of sent out a mass email like, "Guys, any volunteers?" And those, we like our volunteers. They help us out a lot.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's that's what makes the community great. People they're always wanting to help one another. I wanted to ask about because the name. I was curious about the name. I know we talked a little bit off air about the name. What's the story behind the name Peticolas?
It's our owner, Michael Peticolas.
Oh, okay, there it is.
You want a history of the brewery?
Yeah.
Michael Peticolas is an attorney. I always say attorney by trade, even though it's not a trade. But he was an attorney. He's a fifth generation Texas attorney.
Okay.
And so him being Michael Peticolas, he wrote down a list of all his goals. Going, graduating high school, going to college, getting a law degree, blah, blah, blah. So he told his wife, Melissa, he said, "I've done everything on my list, everything I ever wanted to do." And she says, "That's great." And he goes, "No, that's actually not great because I don't know what the next step is." He's a goal-oriented kind of guy. Like, what's the next step?
Okay.
And he just said, "I love beer and I love soccer." And he even considered working for FC Dallas, Dallas for the soccer team. He's like, "I'll be the janitor."
Oh, wow.
Because he loves soccer that much. And so, if I'm correct, it was his wife, Melissa, who said, "Why don't we just consider opening up a brewery?" I don't think it was opening up a brewery. I think it was investing in a brewery.
Okay.
Then they started talking to people about investments. I wish I knew which breweries they even got an offer to, but Michael didn't want any part of it. He didn't want to be an investor. he wanted to actually do it. He actually later went to school, to a brewing school. I wish I could do it off the top of my head, but so he's certified in that. And basically, he found a place which is where our current brewery is. City of Dallas said, you're not zoned for a brewery. He said, okay, why? Couldn't give him an answer.
Of course not.
Being the attorney that he is, until they said, okay, we can zone it to be a brewery. And in the beginning, it was just him. He did everything. He
Wow.
brewed, he kegged, we didn't can at the time. He went to accounts, and he basically literally started it up with just him and Melissa, and then slowly they got one brewer, two brewer. We didn't even have a tap room at the time. It was just
wow.
That was it. And slowly we got the tap room in, and his big thing was he wanted to own this flat out. He didn't want investors. He didn't want to have to make other people happy. He wanted it to be his own. So we have no investors. We also have no debt.
That's awesome.
He loans everything that every penny that he spent is out of his own pocket.
Man, that's fantastic. And if you can have that, because I know that's a big thing, because like you said, you don't have to please anybody. You don't have to worry about somebody else's opinion. If you want to, you could go out there and do what you want to do and make the beers you want to make, and not have to not necessarily follow certain trends. Of course, like you have to do a little bit here and there because, to get people, in, to try different things and all that sort of stuff. But so that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was his big thing, is that this is going to be a family business. So it's just him and Melissa. So, and Michael's very approachable. He's at the brewery almost every day. I always tell people, you've probably met Michael Peticolas, because he doesn't himself as Michael Peticolas. He's just Michael. What are you drinking? And then before you know it, it's like, okay, that's the owner. That's the guy. People like kind of, what's fanboy? Is that the word? Kind of just go, oh my God. But he's an extremely approachable guy, and he just loves to talk about beer and soccer if you get him on that topic as well, which I know nothing.
There you go. Hey, but you got the beer side down, right? So
yeah, the beer, I got half it.
There you go. Because I know we talked a little off there too about because I had two beers when I was out there of yours. I had the Velvet Hammer, which was, man, it was like super, it was really tasty. It was like really flavorful, like malty, roasty, but just went down so smooth. It was like really velvety almost.
Hence the name. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. Geez, I didn't put two and two together. I'm thinking about that. But yeah, that one and the sit down or I'll make you sit down, that Imperial IPA, gosh, they were just killer.
So, there's both names. One, Velvet Hammer, it's smooth like velvet, but it'll hit you like a hammer. So the sit down or I'll sit you down is a good story. Michael's brother was on the show Cops as an actual police officer.
Oh, wow.
And I forgot where it was. I want to say it's El Paso, Texas, but I may be wrong on that. And so he told the family, hey, the film crew came out, they interviewed me in the car, and then we go get the perp, and then I arrest him, we put him in the car, blah, blah. So they watched it, and they cut all of his lines out, with the exception of he's grabbing the criminal, and he goes, he's on the curb, sit down, or I'll sit you down. And so that was a family joke for years. Okay, sit down, or I'll sit you down. That's the only dialogue they wanted you to hear. And so named a beer after it, and it's an amazing beer. It's a boozy beer.
Oh yeah, it was good.
But it's a very, as you say, an approachable beer. When people think of IPAs, I always say they think of American IPAs, but I think it's kind of a new word now.
Yeah,
it's just hoppy. That was also a trend too. Really hoppy beers. I'm glad that faded away 10 years ago. Almost thinking a pint kind of a IPA. But this it's still hoppy, but extremely balanced, and it'll sit you down, hence the name. Everything's all in the name.
Oh yeah. After that first day I went to a few different barbecue places while I was out there, and I ordered even a pizza place and another place called Pluckers. But I want to say I had a Velvet Hammer there, and then I also had the other one. But you guys have another, I know I had a third beer, but it was not at the brewery. It was it's like a winter ale that you guys have. There you go. Yeah, I had that one.
No, it tastes like Christmas. It's got cinnamon, nutmeg. Gosh, what am I missing? I'm missing two other things. Cinnamon, nutmeg, and two other very tasty Christmassy kind of flavors.
Oh yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Man, like I was just like, man, like that's the best part of the industry. There's you can find good craft beer anywhere.
Yes. Now, if you would have backed up 10 years ago in Dallas, there was one or two.
Yeah.
And I had to pushing Michael Peticolas. He actually fought this. He still does the TABC, the Texas Alcohol Beverage Corporation, so that more breweries can open up and that the state doesn't have to take a big chunk of money, and so make it more accessible. So, I mean, a lot of the breweries we see now, especially in Dallas, I mean, you can honestly thank Michael Peticolas for. We're the oldest brewery in Dallas, so.
So awesome, man. Well, congratulations to all of you guys on that. That's great. I always love to ask, like, what beer, what will, like, in your eyes, or maybe like in the eyes of the consumers, like, what beer best represents the brewery? Do you feel?
Ooh, Velvet Hammer, because that was
Okay.
the base. That was the one that Michael brewed by himself and sold by himself, and that the people really, really liked. Gosh, we're going back to 2010, 2011. Not a lot of higher ABV beers.
Yeah.
I mean, even to this day, people will come to the brewery and say, I drink Miller Lite. What you got? You know?
Yeah.
And we don't have anything that tastes like Miller Lite, but we do have, Golden Opportunity, which is our Kolsch.
Yeah.
See if it fits your fancy. It might. My aunt, shout out to my aunt, she's a Miller Lite drinker, but sit down fits her perfectly. She loves sit down. My dad's a Miller Lite drinker as well, but Velvet Hammer, you can have a little bit of Velvet Hammer, and that does the trick. So I swear, sometimes you got to kind of trick the brain a little bit. It doesn't have to taste like Bud Light or Miller Lite, because that's more of just like it's your staple beer when you go to the store.
Oh yeah.
So forgot what the question was. Oh, what
You're good.
Yeah, definitely Velvet Hammer. That's the baby. The next would be a sit down or sit you down. That one, I think, was the second one that came out, followed by Royal Scandal and Golden Opportunity. Yeah, I think I said it's in order.
Okay. Do you because I love to ask this too about because I always find that there's like the one beer that you have like before, like people get into craft beer, but they try one and they're like, oh man, this is what beer could be. It's not just a traditional kind of stuff like that. Do you remember your first like craft beer that made you kind of get into it?
Depends on what your definition of craft beer is. Some people said, like, gosh, I was trying to think of a beer a second ago. I don't want to say Blue Goose. What's that goose beer? Anyway, that one I would consider. When I think of craft beer, I always think of beer that I wouldn't normally get.
Okay.
So if it's just a beer that it's from Kentucky or something like that, to me that's a craft beer because I'd never seen it before. So like in college, because I remember when Yingling. I mean, that's not necessarily craft beer, but that was a beer we didn't get in Texas. So anytime someone brought that was craft enough for me.
Oh yeah.
So, but when it comes to taste wise, honestly, my first craft beer in Dallas was the Velvet Hammer.
Okay.
That was on a tour, my first Peticolas tour, because we would give tours to the brewery, and I was like, God, that's a high ABV, but I was like, that's actually a really, really good beer. I think the highest ABV I ever had was an Ice House, which is not a craft beer, but it could be. But that was high ABV in 2004.
Oh yeah.
And so I think my brother was looking for higher ABV beers at the time, but it was definitely Velvet Hammer. I wish I remember the beers at RAR in Fort Worth, because I went to that brewery when I was in college, because I was just south of Denton, Texas.
Okay.
There was a place called Two Rows, but I don't think exists anymore. It was a restaurant / brew house. I don't think they exist anymore in Dallas. But that was, I think, the first on a small scale craft brewery that didn't distribute. You just drink the beer there, kind of like a BJ's now, or or Tilted Kilt, whatever they do now. But yeah, those are the ones. Yeah.
Okay. And so after were you when you were homebrewing, like, did you go from like your Mr. Beer kit to like getting like a kit from somewhere, or?
I like telling these stories. Mr. Beer kit, it's all extract, and it has these little pigs, which are actually I won't show these little pigs. And I still have these little pigs I had from college. They're about 2.5 gallons, and they're beautiful. I don't brew anything more than that at home.
Okay.
And one of my other hobbies is kayak fishing. And
Oh,
when you
nice.
look at stuff online, like that are used, you find people that like try to get into the hobby but just don't want it anymore, or people
Mhm.
who are sadly like getting divorced. So you can
Oh,
find both. So
gotcha.
a lot of people are getting divorced and or aren't interested in the hobby, and that's how you find your homebrew gear. I would just search online, and someone would be like, "Selling my homebrew gear, $300," and you just message them back. I'll give you 70 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, So I kind of collected that, but I don't like I say I don't brew a big amount, so my gear is very small. I mean, those homebrew kits can. I mean, you can almost get like I think a whole barrel. I mean, and make a lot. I prefer just to make a tiny bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you remember, like, because I know you did the first one was Mr. Beer Kit. Do you remember, like, the first style that you did?
it's a pale ale,
Okay.
all extract, and then once I got this is where I guess I became an annoying home brewer. When I would volunteer, I would ask like, "Hey, can I get some of that grain? Hey, can I get some of that grain?" And knowing that I brewed such a small amount, how much do you need? Like, oh, 5 pounds. Like 5 pounds. Yeah, I can get you 5 pounds. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of got my grain until they told me no, because it add up. We have a few
Of
home
course.
stores in Dallas, and it can add up, and the price of grain constantly goes up. And
Mhm.
so you add, a quarter like 1/4 per pound. I mean, that changes how much it's going to cost just to brew a batch. But if you can get the grain for free, that totally changes up everything.
Oh, yeah, of course. And even for like your different like your recipes and stuff like that, because I'm sure the Mr. Beer Kit one was probably just like their recipe, right?
Yeah.
But what do you like for your like approach to recipe development now? Like obviously, I'm sure it's changes over the years. So what's that like for you now, whether home brewing or at the brewery as well?
When it comes to home brewing, that was looking up online and just finding, gosh, see, I always have to compare it to something else. It's kind of like playing the guitar. I always tell people if you're going to play the guitar, learn a song that you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to brew a beer at home, brew a beer like a style that you know.
Okay.
So when you try it in the end, you'll be like, okay, I can compare it to. So if you're trying to make a beer like Bud Light and you find a recipe that's similar to Bud Light, you'll at least know what it tastes like in the end. So
Yeah.
finding recipes that are, I think the first one that I made that was all grain was cream ale because my dad really liked cream ales. And so found a recipe online, make it, see what it tastes like. Think of what you think is missing from it. Is it more grain? Is it a different hop? And then making it again and again. Because I fall in the habit of not making it again. But if
There
it
you
comes
go.
again, you can definitely tweak it to something that you like. So
Yeah, and how about at the brewery level? Because I know it's probably I know sometimes it can be hard, especially if you have like the bigger tanks,
yeah,
and having to because especially if you're a production facility and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I mean, still like being able to bring in like some type of creativity,
yeah.
changing things up a little bit.
That's a trial and error with us because our tanks are big, but they're not humongous compared to other breweries. So we can kind of experiment with it. There's a few apps that we use that says, okay, if we use X amount of grain and we match it for X amount of time, we'll get X amount of sugars, and it should come out to X. And it's
Yeah.
pretty on the dot. It's a pretty good system. And then when it comes to hops, that's where usually recipes get tweaked the most. Is we'll use these certain hops and go, something we're not really getting those floral notes that we thought.
Yeah.
We need to add more, or we just scratch it completely and go with maybe our original idea, and then use this specific hop. But yeah, that's just definitely a trial and error. I'm trying not to curse here, but one of our old
Oh.
brewers always said, "We don't make, shit beer." Yeah, but he just said that, but a very serious tone. He was just like, if we make something new and we don't like it,
Yeah.
we'll probably take it off. But if it's not good enough for the market, then it ain't going out the door. If it's not good enough for the tap room, it's not going out the door.
That's great. And you could curse on here, by the way, if you wanted to.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I should have told you that up front. But yeah, you can say whatever you want. But honestly, that's a great way to do it too, because I mean, and I get it. I understand that sometimes they there's some breweries out there that will push that beer out there, but if it's not up to your standards or up to like up to par, or at least like how he would feel that way, or you would, or maybe even Michael at that point, it's cool that they're willing to like, "Hey, we don't want to serve this. We like if this is not something that we want, then we're not going to serve that." I feel like that's
I know several breweries that have renamed beers because they made a batch, they didn't like it, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna serve it anyway." And it
yeah.
just is it. And I was like, "Why is that? That tastes a little. It almost tastes like this." It's like, well, we tried to tweak that, but it didn't work out, so we just renamed it something else. So now you have a beer that maybe someone's not gonna like, but now they tag it to your brewery, like, "Oh yeah, I had that new beer, and I don't like it at all." And it's like, even the brewers are saying, "Neither did I," but we got to push it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like, I mean, like, yeah, the owner, makes the calls, right?
Yeah.
So I asked this to Jacob too, and I'll ask you, like, I was curious about, like, because I know there's certain, like, obviously out here in California, like, the West Coast IPA is, one of the kings out here. Like, West Coast IPA, hazies are big out here too. I was curious, like, I talked to Kate Bernat. She's the head of the North American Guild of Beer Writers over like almost a year. It might have been over a year ago, probably longer than that. But she would tell me that because she lives in Montana, that Scotch ales are so popular in Montana. And I
Okay.
would have like, yeah, I guess maybe because colder weather, stuff like that. So I was curious, is there like a specific style that you feel like is maybe consumed more than other styles in Texas?
Texas is hot as hell in the summer, so a lot of blondes,
Okay.
very, very popular. It used to be, it's not crazy hoppy IPAs, but sort of hoppy, higher ABV IPAs. In Texas, it's not cold, but it can. We complain that it can be cold, even though it's not that cold. And a good like barrel aged stout is always
Okay.
pretty popular. We don't do any of the barrel aged stouts, but during the like winter time, and it is right now it's winter, but it's not cold. But yeah, those stouts are really really popular. But though, yeah, the blondes in the summertime. But if you're in Texas, you can float the river in San Marcos, Texas, and
Okay.
you get like a crushable, easy drinking beer, no frills, kind of a beer. And of course, there's always the weirdos that want to drink IPAs on the river, which hey, if you want that, that's totally fine, you know. But
Yeah.
also those IPA drinkers out there that would love to float the river with it or go to the beach with it too.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful though with the IP because I mean I'm a big IPA guy, but it's like you got to be careful with those if you're anywhere near water.
Of course, yeah, you're gonna make someone mad, you know.
Yeah, get in trouble. So, oh man, I think that's cool because I'm not the biggest like barrel aged person, but I always love to do like if I'm gonna have some, it's like to share with someone because I can't drink one of the big old bombers,
Yeah.
like it's just too much. You mentioned too, like how it doesn't get too cold. It felt freezing to me when I was out there a couple weeks ago.
Every day in Texas.
Yeah.
Every day. It stormed in the morning, and then the sun came out, and now it's cloudy again. It changed. Texas.
Yeah, one of the days I think it was like on a Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember, and it was like 15 degrees out. I was like not used as a California boy. I was not ready for that.
No, no. What part of California you in?
I'm in like LA, Orange County area. Yeah,
Never.
so I'm sorry, I can hear you.
No, I said I would like to. I've never been there, but I like to.
Yeah, and hey, if you're ever out here, just send me an email or shoot me a text. We'll get some beers.
Heck yeah. I was
Yeah.
in Vancouver last. Gosh, was it November?
Okay.
And talking about the hazies, and I guess it must go all the way down because they had
Hmm.
nothing but hazies in like Seattle, all the way to all the way to Vancouver, and yeah, the hazy. I mean, I think you guys kind of nailed the hazy game because it's a kind of a different tasting kind of hazy, but there were some good hazies out there.
Oh yeah, and even like all the different places when I was out in Texas, like looking at the different ones, I had a Kolsch, and on rotation I had a New Zealand style Pilsner out there, which is really good. And even some of the other like just random spots that I went to, like anytime I went to like a restaurant, I was always looking to see what their craft beer was like, just so I could
Yeah,
kind of check that out. Man, it was just really good stuff.
yeah. Mexican lagers. I think that's the trend now. Is
Okay.
the, is the Mexican lagers? 'Cause I think we're getting close to summertime, and again, talking about that easy drinking beer on the beach of the river or lake. And
Yeah.
so yeah, Mexican lagers are very, 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 very popular. So.
Oh, for sure. And there you go. One thing I was up to ask, because I mean, especially to a brewer, like talking when I'm talking to a brewer, is like, is there like what were your even like well then and now like your favorite styles to brew and or drink?
Okay. Favorite styles to drink. You mentioned that Scotch ale. If I can find a Scotch ale, I would drink the heck out of a Scotch ale. 100%.
Okay.
My wife is also a beer drinker. She's a fancy beer drinker, so she likes a good saison.
Ooh, nice.
And so I got into saisons because of her too. She's also kind of a weather beer drinker. So what's the weather look like? So if we're around
Okay.
the fire pit and it's cold, all right, let's get a stout, a barrel aged stout. There's a. I'm going to mention other breweries in Texas. Lakewood Brewing it's technically Dallas, but I think they're in Garland technically, but right north
Okay.
of Dallas. They have a beer called the Temptress, and it is just an amazing stout. And it's a milk stout, and they mix it with a million different things. So I think they had one that was like an Oreo cookie one, a barrel aged, but you get some of those around the fire pit, can't beat it. Yeah, can't beat it. Let's see, what other styles do I like? I like an IPA. I like a good IPA, not too piney, because that's
Okay.
kind of a flavor that I don't really care for. 10, 12 years ago, that was the thing. Everyone's making these piney IPA.
Super danky, yep.
Yeah. Any kind of a light, I won't say light, but light, low ABV, 4 or 5%. Amber beer, I'll gravitate immediately to. See, I'm a fan of all styles. That's the thing.
That's great.
But even going back to college, kind of an amber beer. Yeah, just straight up amber beer. What's your amber beer?
Oh yeah. That's good stuff. Even I remember like as a kid, I mean I say as a kid, I was pretty young. But like I always like my grandpa always used to get like every once in a while he would get a Michelob Amberbach. And that was kind of one that I was like, man, this is doesn't taste like, the other stuff that I would drink before. So that, it was always like little things like that, like or like Amstel Light or, Newcastle.
Yeah. Yeah, Newcastle was a beer that I despised, and now I dig it. But
Yeah.
when I was 21, no. Tasted like I haven't had one in a while, but to me it tasted like a cigarette.
Oh,
So
really?
see, that's when you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're drinking so much Natty Light in college, and then suddenly someone's like, "You want a Newcastle?" Okay, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I don't like this at all.
Oh,
Newcastle,
yeah.
Fat Tire. If you
Hmm.
consider that craft beer,
Yep.
that would be the first craft beer because Fat Tire.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Fat Tire is good stuff, man. Like, I haven't had it in a while, but I mean, I remember again, as a kid, I would, my uncle would buy it and I would drink that. And I'm like, man, this is good stuff. And then I remember I found like Young's double chocolate stouts and like Samuel Smith oatmeal stouts, all that sort of stuff. I was like, man, this is good. This is some good stuff. And then I don't know if I would find myself going to Bevmo or Total Wine and seem to try to get anything I could, really.
Oh yeah, drink a lot of Bass in college, and that was, I mean, it is an import. That's kind of a pale ale.
Okay.
Um, I saw it on the. If you saw the movie Titanic, they're drinking Bass beer. There's like that red
Hmm.
triangle in the background, and I saw it on a beer bottle. I'm like, is that the same beer? And it turns out Bass was on the Titanic, and
Hmm.
so I drank that a lot in college. If I had the dough, you know, I drank a lot of that in college.
Oh yeah. Like when I was I'm gonna keep saying it. When I was a kid, we'd get like those Mississippi Mud. Do you
Now
remember those?
you're bringing me back. I haven't even seen one in a while. It's like, yeah, you can put a little handle to it.
Oh
Neat.
yeah, that was good stuff, man. Black and tans, man. They were so good.
They were really good. Heck yeah. We need to find out where to find one of those things. I saw them in Michigan about, 9 years ago. Uh,
Okay.
haven't seen them in Texas. I don't know if you guys have Old Style, but it's a big Chicago beer. I mean, it's
Mm.
like my grandfather drank it, but it was here in the early 90s, but then they just don't bring it into Texas anymore.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one, but I'll have to keep an eye out because every once in a while you'll find like a liquor store or something like that, or like a craft beer liquor store, but they'll have some like older like Bohemia or other stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Have you like what are some of the like? I mean, going from home brewing to like obviously to working for Peticolas. Like, what are some of the biggest challenges you feel like you faced as a brewer, like along your journey?
Well, it's really like getting, well, I'm going to use the Texas Rangers because I'm in Texas. I don't know if I should
Okay.
use the I'm Angels or whatever for you, but it's kind of like being drafted to the Texas Rangers.
Hmm.
You're excited for like 2 seconds, and then you realize, oh crap! Now I have to play pro ball, and I have to
Yep.
know what I'm doing, even though I've never done it ever. And so with Peticolas, our old brewers aren't there anymore. We kind of have some newer people now. We still have some of the older guys, but the main ones have left. But they knew their stuff. They at the time they've been doing it for 8-9 years. They didn't play around. They were great to talk to. They were great to drink with. But that goes back to a classic quote that says, we don't make shit beer here. That's the line.
Yeah.
we don't make shit beer here. So if you mess up, you need to let us know because we don't. We'll see if we can correct it, and if we can't, then we're at the go. We may not serve that beer ever. So, and the best practice is just doing everything consistent. If you do everything consistently, the beer is going to taste the same every single time. What was the question again? Oh,
No, you're good.
no, I get on a rant and I forget the question. But yeah, it was basically being knowledgeable of the beer game. I mean, I was going into an industry where before I was in the industry, all I wanted to do was have a beer when I got home. Now I'm in the industry where there's beer everywhere.
Yeah.
And at any time, you could go have yourself a pint. And so you kind of have to, monitor that on you now. And it's kind of like when you start a new job, you just want to get over the hump and finally go, I got it. I
Yep.
got it. I don't want to be looked after, but you just want to learn as quickly as possible. And I know with Peticolas, everything was so fast. They're just like, do you get it? No. Fine. I'll repeat myself, and just keep on
Mhm.
asking questions and kind of trial and error, but try not to mess up something big. If you don't know, ask. And then finally the day comes where you got it and you're
Yep.
brewing on your own and off we go. And then, 4 years later, I'm still doing that and trying to, if we have anyone new, it's kind of just baby steps, but try to catch on as quickly as possible so we can kind of take the training wheels off.
That's great. And if you were gonna like give advice to someone that maybe maybe they're on the fence about homebrewing or just getting into the industry, what would you tell them?
Don't get it in there for the money.
That's true.
Yeah, it's honestly for the love of brewing beer. And I say this because we've had some people who've applied, and I kind of question them about it. Don't apply. Don't apply to to work at a brewery because you think it's just going to be fun. It's a job.
Yep.
I mean, we got to make some really good beer. And we got to get it out. You don't do it for the money because a lot of us took pay cuts, which is fine, which is totally fine. It's because
Mhm.
any job isn't about the money, but it's not a job that you're just going to be like, oh, I'm making $1 million. That's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
you really have to love beer. You gotta love every bit of it from grain to glass. The great thing about at Peticolas is that the staff is so small that if I went to a restaurant and I ordered a Velvet Hammer, and for some odd reason it didn't taste good, it's my fault because I brewed it.
Yep.
We're such a small staff that we touched it. We touched it from grain to brewing to can or kegging it. We do it all. So I can only blame myself, which that hasn't happened yet. but I can only blame myself, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But that's what we don't want. Is just go out and see someone not enjoy our product because
Yeah.
that's not our goal.
Of course. And I mean, and like the accountability thing, like
Yeah.
that's not very many people are willing to hold themselves accountable. And I feel like at least like the buddies that I have in the industry and then people that I've talked to or people like you, like if something does like that happen, like it means something to you. It's not just like, oh, bad batch, blah, blah, blah. It means something to you. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I went to a restaurant where they said, oh yeah, man, we bought a case of your cans and a few of them kind of sprung a leak, which happens. It's just the sealer.
Yeah.
Those things that we probably fixed while we were canning it, but some of them just got out the door.
Of course.
And I said, dude, give me that case of beer. I'm going to go to the brewery and bring you back another case. Because this is under. He goes, no, it's fine. I'm like, that's not okay. That's not okay. And if it happens again, like let me know. And we've done that with a few kegs. we have kegs go in and out all the time, and sometimes they kind of spring a leak or something, and they turn into basically bad kegs.
Yeah.
Oxygen gets in there. Yeah, and we have one distribution manager, and when he hears that, it's like, okay, where are you at? I'm going to bring you a new one right now. And he's like, well, we don't do it now. I said, no, I'm doing it now because we have to fix that because
Of course.
you have already served some lousy beer because it's been oxygenated or something like that, and so we need to fix that ASAP. Yeah.
That's great. And because first impressions mean a lot, right? You know, especially like in the beer industry, I feel like. So, I mean, that's kudos to you guys for having, you know, like that work ethic and wanting to write those things.
Oh yeah. I will not mention the brewery, but I bought a few cans from Total Wine, and the beer soured. It was legit. There's a lager
Wow.
soured. And so I messaged the brewery, and they go, "Oh yeah, we had a few cases of that go out." And I'm like, "That's it? Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to drink that beer again." You know,
Yeah.
that soured. And I mean, they should have been tasting as they went along. They would have noticed this before they banned. But sometimes I don't know, just one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened, you know, stuff like that can happen.
Yeah.
Do you, I always love to ask this. Do you remember like your worst brew day, or have you had a bad brew day?
A bad brew day. We like today. I started the brew at 2:30 in the morning. We're from
Oh, wow.
2:30 to about 8 a.m. Right? You're alone. You start hearing things. I had one. I don't want to say homeless person, but someone who was out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They just showed up. They just walked in and they just started walking around. And that morning brain was just like, "Am I seeing somebody? Can I
Wow.
help you, brother?" And he's like, "I'm just looking for work." I was like, "Well, if you can't work here,"
Yeah.
he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Can I get some whiskey?" I said, "No." I was like, "I don't have any whiskey, man." He goes, I thought this was a distillery." "Not a distillery, man. It's a brewery." And I thought he
Yeah.
was going to ask for a beer,
Yeah.
but said no, and they left. But that was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But that's few and far between. It's really not bad days.
It's good. Like any
You
stuck
yeah,
mashes?
because you kind of want to get everything done before the next person takes over. When you first start, you're a little bit slower, and so you tweak that. But a bad day, I may have slipped on some chemicals and fell on my butt, but that's about it. That's about it.
That's great though. I mean, I know like some of my friends, like it's usually like they may have like a bad stuck mash story, or like, you know, like a
Duck
18 hour brew day or something like that.
matches are a thing. Peeling oranges. We have a few beers that require fresh cut orange peel. That can be tedious when you have to get to the brewery at 3 in the morning to peel oranges. Stuck mashes, yeah, those can be a pain. But for us, that's our error.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
that's
happens.
releasing it a little bit too fast. But yeah, that's an error on our side, like for Peticolas. So when that happens, it's like just one of those things.
Yep. Do you have any fun like taproom stories? Because you've been there, you said, for about 4 years now, right? Yeah.
Taproom stories.
Well, I guess you just had one right there with the homeless
Yeah,
guy walking out. So
I always want celebrities to come in, but they never do.
yeah.
We we have a lot of regulars that come in.
Okay.
That I mean, I'm talking like 15 or 20. I don't know their names. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. No idea. I've never. I want to say I've introduced myself. They know me, but I
Hmm.
have no idea what their names are. And to this day, it's extremely awkward. So
Yeah.
if our one of our bartenders says, "Oh, so and so is here looking for you," it would go right over my head. I'd be like, whoever that is. "Oh, that guy, the guy with the long hair. Okay." "Oh, the guy with the daughter." Blah, blah. But yeah, there's plenty of regulars who I have no idea what their names are, and we're going into like 3-4 years. I can't even ask their names.
That's funny. It's like Cheers.
Oh, sure. Well, this is actually the main one, and I'm not knocking them because I am one of them, but we do have occasionally a group of home brewers that come in. They're random,
Hmm.
but they got a bottle in their hand and they're waiting for us to drink it and go, "What's the recipe? We have to make this now."
Yeah.
I'm extremely arrogant, and I love every bit of them.
Hmm.
We're not going to ever try a homebrew bottle and go, actually, we are going to make this.
Yeah.
But of them can be a little bit arrogant.
That's funny.
Or one guy came in and said, I know the recipe for Velvet Hammer. And I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, I figured it out. And I was like, cool.
I locked it in.
This bottle of clone, as they call them, of Velvet Hammer. And he goes, I want your honest opinion, even though it's on the money. And so I drank it, and I said, not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
He showed me his recipe, and not even close.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's awesome. I only have a couple more questions for you. I don't want to hold you too long. These are two of the last three I always ask everybody. Your desert island beers. You can pick like a style of craft or a specific craft if you want, and then one domestic.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not good. Only for nostalgia reasons, I would say Bass.
Okay.
Ale. Man. And then something domestic. God, I'm on a desert island. I'm probably going to die soon, right? But make it as boozy as possible.
There you go.
I would easily pick a Peticolas beer, but that's a little bit too easy. I can dig a Sam Adams. There's a regular lager,
like a Boston lager.
Boston lager, and I say that only because, and if you don't mind stories,
yeah.
Before I was in insurance, I overheard some guy in a lobby saying that the owner, I forgot what his name is, Cook.
Yeah, Jim Cook.
Yeah, was going to be at a Dallas restaurant, which is right down the street.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, he's going to be there. Okay, probably going to have dinner or something. Okay, cool. And so it's called the Melton Moth. Doesn't exist anymore. They just shut down like recently. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go there. I'd like to see the guy. I don't know. I had nothing else to do. So I got off early, went to the Melton Moth, had a beer, looked around, wasn't there. Cool. Finished my beer, and here comes Jim Cook. He just walks into the bar, grabs a Sam Adams beer, and just stands there. And so I walk up to him, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? I was like, what are you doing in town? And he goes, oh, he was visiting a few breweries, and this is before Peticolas.
Okay.
Way before. And I hit the Lone Star Beer, brewery, And I said, oh, are you having dinner here? He goes, no, I'm just here to talk to people.
Huh.
No shit. So you're just going to wait? He goes, yeah, I got about 3 hours. I'm just going to stand here.
Huh.
Okay. Can we chat? And so we literally just drank Sam Adams beer, and we just talked about beer and then more people started coming.
Mm.
And we just kind of just huddled around him, and he just answered questions. He was like the coolest dude ever. And then I was texting my brother, and I was like, yeah, I'm here with the owner of Sam Adams. He's just here to drink beer. That's it.
That's awesome.
And he goes, oh, ask him about the Sam Adams Utopia. And I was like, okay. And so I said, what about the Sam Adams Utopia? And he goes, that's what I forgot. And he goes to his car and brings back 10 bottles of this Utopia, which I've never even seen. I've never heard. Go for $200 and some a bottle.
Wow.
And he's handing them out. He goes, do you want a sample or you just want the bottle? And I'm like, I'll just take a sample. So we just started having samples. My buddy, who's actually from Boston, he showed up and he gave him a full bottle. Here you go. And it was just the coolest experience ever. So that kind of very, very close to the heart. Just got to chat with him for 2 hours and just drink beer.
It's one of the coolest stories.
Beer too.
Yeah.
As long as you're drinking Sam Adams, man, it's on mine. I'm like, I'll drink Sam Adams all day.
That's awesome. That's one of the coolest stories I've heard on the show. That's because I even as a kid, grew up drinking Boston Lager and even during the summer, when that would come out, their summer ale would come out. It was always a thing. And even then, Sam Adams, as big as it is, it's still family owned and operated. How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I tried to go to the brewery when I was in Boston, but I couldn't even get to the door because the line just didn't move.
I bet.
So I was like,
That's crazy. But that would definitely be fun to get out there though, to see it.
Heck yeah.
What's your favorite food to pair with the beer? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Favorite food to pair with the beer? I've actually done a food pairing at Central Market here in Dallas, but especially sit down. Crab and shrimp.
Okay.
I think go great. Not in the boil,
Yeah.
but I think with it. I don't know if there's crawfish boils in California.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they are, but any of our hoppier beers or lighter beers, they go great with a crawfish boil.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Especially if you get that Cajun seasoning in there and all that good stuff. Oh yeah, that'd be great with a light lager, a rice lager or something like that.
Yeah, especially in Louisiana, they like to like burn your mouth off. So you need a lot of beer to make sure you kind of cool your mouth.
Definitely. Well, man, Jacob, thank you so much for being on with me. One last question I want to ask you about, actually, no, I just thought of another one. So two more, I promise. What do you love the most about the craft beer community?
Is that we're all, well, in the, I only know the Dallas area. Sometimes my in-laws live in Oklahoma. We'll check out some craft beer breweries up there. We're in Vancouver. We saw the beer. Is that everyone's making something different. That's honestly what I love the most. We hear it a lot at the brewery. Who's your biggest competition? And I always say we have no competition because everyone's doing their own thing.
100%.
We don't have two beers that are down the street that taste alike. And I'm definitely okay with saying, hey, if you're looking for a white stout, down the street, Texas Ale Project has a great white stout. We don't have one, but they have a great white stout. They have a great double IPA. We have an IPA too, but they have a really good one too. And really like something I wouldn't call it a brotherhood, but just a big old community where it's like there's some awesome ass breweries here, and you don't have to stay here at Peticolas. You can go right down the street and find some awesome beer. Or if there's a beer you don't like here, I can guarantee you can go down the street and find some of the beer that you'll like.
That's awesome, man.
And everyone shares stuff too. A case of beer is kind of currency.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to any brewery in Dallas, I'll bring them a case of beer. They'll give me a case of beer or buy me a beer. If they're brewers nearby, I'll chat with the brewer. So everyone kind of knows one another. I think that's the best way to go. Because again, 10, 11 years ago, there was just, I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
There was maybe 3 in Dallas.
Wow.
DFW, Dallas to Fort Worth. There wasn't very many. And the laws had to change. Michael Peticolas really helped with that. Quick story here. When my best friend moved from Wisconsin in 1992, his mom went to a restaurant in my hometown of Mission, Texas. I said, "What's your local beer?" And we're reading local, something that's brewed nearby. And they're like, Lone Star? And that's in San Antonio. That's 5 hours away. There wasn't any local beer. And that blew her mind. She was like, well, in Wisconsin, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, give me something, a few miles from where we're at. And that was 1982. And so it took a while to get to that level. So I'm glad we're striving because now they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Well, congrats to you guys. Congrats to, to the other ones out there. All the ones that I've had out there were really good. I'm going to be actually going out to McAllen to do some stuff.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, is it?
I was born in McAllen. I'm raised in Mission, Texas.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to be down there. I was looking up some breweries out there. I saw 5x5.
5x5. I went to high school with George Rice, who owns 5x5.
Awesome. Well, if you could put in a good word for me, I was going to actually send them a message on Instagram, but I'm just trying to figure out what dates I'm going to be there. But I definitely want to talk to them. This way, because I saw it was veteran owned.
Yes. Yeah, he's Army. Yeah, we went to high school together. So you got 5x5 Brewing. Right next to it, there's a restaurant called El Pato.
Okay.
Right there. That's where you're going to eat. You got to eat right there. That is a Mission, Texas staple.
I will do that for sure. That's on the list.
Yeah. A lot of great Mexican food down there. Breweries, 5x5. I think is the only one. There may be a few others, but they're growing as well.
Okay.
They're growing as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. I will text George right after this call.
I love it. Yeah. You can pass along my email or they can message me on Instagram. Either way, I'm good with that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Last question. And this was actually from, Beer Paper. I can't think of his name at the moment, but Beer Paper LA. And I'm going to feel bad. I got to look up his name. I'll edit this out after. Oh gosh. I've hung out with him a bunch of times. I just can't think of his name at the moment. Gosh, what is his name? No, I'm just he's been on the show before. I'll find it real quick. And I'll just put a timestamp on this. There we go. He was like episode 38.
It's like a movie. I feel like I have to hold my pose.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah. It's Daniel Drennan.
Okay.
Yeah, because he knows Michael. And he was telling me, he's like, well, if you talk to Michael, I was like, well, I wasn't sure who I was going to talk to yet. I just mentioned it to him. He's all, if you talk to Michael, you tell him he owes me a Peticolas shirt. I was like, okay. I was like, I'll let him know.
Yeah, we can get to that.
Oh yeah, that's what he was telling me. That he's like Michael told me he sent me a shirt, but I didn't get it. I was like, all right, but he was tongue in cheek and he was just ribbing a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but this question I was going to ask you is from something that Daniel kind of told me, and it was something him and I were sitting down having a beer. He's like, "What?" He's like, "If you could describe yourself in one word, like what would it be?" And he was telling me, he's like, most people can answer it like right away. He asked me, I was like, drive. Like I love to be able to do this. Like, and I have that drive. Like I want to put out an episode every week because I want to do anything I can for the craft beer community and make it, flourish and get bigger and bigger as like it was. So I'll ask you, like, what's if you had to describe yourself in one word, what do you think that word would be?
Ooh, that's a very, very, very good question. Actually, well, maybe keep on talking. Maybe the one word will come out. I just enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
I enjoy what I do. I don't think I've had a bad day at work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't dread coming into work. Like I said, my alarm went off at 1:30 this morning. I'll be brewing beer. Like
there you go.
To me, it's very enjoyable. Maybe that's the word. It's enjoyable. I just enjoy what I do, and I enjoy the end product. Going back to my thing of like being drafted by the Texas Rangers. Side note, but a quick story. After talking about being a Peticolas for that tour, I was actually with my mother-in-law, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, for the first tour that I ever went to. We drank 2 Velvet Hammers. This is before I ever had a Velvet Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 Velvet Hammers, and before we knew it, she was asking me if I wanted her daughter's hand, my wife. So that was my first experience with Peticolas, and I was like, well, this is kind of, we were going to talk about this soon, Sammy, but I guess we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
So Peticolas is very, very close, to my heart, and it was just coincidental and everything, all the stars aligned that I actually got to work with them. So I guess it's like being drafted by the Texas Rangers. This is the team I wanted to play for.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. Well, thank you again for doing this. And tell Michael I said thank you. For doing that. I can't wait. I know that I was telling my buddy because he's the one of the ones that lives out in Dallas. I was like, man, I got to go out there. We got to go again. We got to hit all the places because we went to like 3 Nations. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool spot. I went there. So I hit up 3. I was like, well, I got to hit up those 3 when I come back, and then 3 or 4 or 5 more. So,
heck yeah! Oh yeah, there's tons of them.
No, I love it. Well, thank you again. We could stay on and chat after, but for everyone, if you're in the Dallas area, you got to go to Peticolas. You got to go to On Rotation. You got to go to 3 Nations, all these great places, and support local, drink local, and find your beer. Thank you again, Jacob.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry for the nose or for the nasally stuff. I was still sick at that point. But even when I'm sick, I ain't gonna. If I make a commitment to talk to somebody, I'm gonna try my best to not mess that up. So, because I guess I've always been. If I don't want, I always want to be mindful of people's time, and if I tell someone I'm gonna do it, I try my best, to do it. I try not to cancel or anything like that. And that's not to say I have no problem with people ever, like if they ever cancel on me, life happens, shit happens. Just that I've always tried to, if I try to stick to my convictions. So, yeah. All right. So next week's episode is going to be the Eureka episode. The week after that is Artifacts. The week after that is the Bonaventure. Then Sandra's episode. And then Zeke and Lulu, the branding for breweries in the UK. And then 5x5. So we're all lined up. All right. Well, I got to get ready soon and finish my coffee, head out that way. And yeah, probably going to cruise to Level Up after. You know what? Actually, guys, there's this guy that follows, and he always tags the Taproom, which I'm super appreciative. It's Good Gary. What is it? Good Gary _GG. It's a cool little account, but he's always going to breweries and he's always promoting. He's gone to a ton of breweries that I've been to. And always tags the Taproom. So definitely go and give him a follow. So it's Good Gary _GG. There's a little turtle on there. He takes the turtle with him. So you got to check that out. It's pretty cool. then yesterday he went to Level Up. And it seemed like he had a good time, and I think he went to Feathered Serpent as well. So, yeah, it'll be going to go see Luis, going to go try some of the new beers. I think he's got the Sour Fox in 4-packs. Also, Taproom Tales, continuing to kind of grow. We had that St. Patrick's Day episode the other day. It was cool. Like I said, we've been getting more views, which is awesome. I mean, it's kind of crazy how it all happened. But last thing, then I'll shut up. I noticed the other day, I don't know if it's changed, I'm looking real quick. You have 96 5-star reviews on Spotify. I just want to say thank you to everyone for that. Closing in on 100. If you're listening on Spotify, would really appreciate it if you did that. Get it to 100, that'd be cool. Like I said, the more reviews out there, the more it puts it in front of more eyeballs. So, yeah, and they have that on Apple Podcasts as well. You can leave a review if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can leave 5 stars. So, yep. All right, I'm going to shut up now. That's enough plugging. Yep, I'm going to get ready, finish my coffee, then head out to Pomona. All right, guys. Well, hope you guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy, time with family or barbecue. Do what you got to do. If you're in SoCal, it's supposed to be really pretty today. It's supposed to be like 70 something. So, and sunny. All right. Well, yeah. Don't forget to support local, drink local, and find your beer. Cheers.